And so the image that went out on mainstream, television, was Minnie Mouse being arrested, and put into the cop car. And it was just, that image went viral.
Hello and welcome to episode 8, season 2 of the RAN Wrap-Up, Rainforest Action Network's look at the good, the bad, and the ugly in news from around the world affecting the climate and all those that depend on it. As always, we're taking a look this week at the issues that will ultimately affect all of us, what we can do about it, and what we are doing about it here at Rainforest Action Network. Last episode, we talked with April and Caleb about their amazing report, Banking on Climate Chaos. If you ever wondered what your bank was investing in or who was backing that awful climate-destroying project you detest, this is the report for you. Go check it out. Speaking of which, guess who is the only major U.S. bank without restrictions on financing Arctic drilling, thermal coal mining, and coal-fired power plants? Do you need a hint? I got you. They have spent over $333 billion in fossil fuel financing since 2016. I'm sure you've guessed it by now. That's right, it's Bank of America. Great job, Bank of America. So did you hear about this weird story? Mondelēz is opening up Oreo-themed cafes from New York to Hawaii and Qatar, serving up concoctions like Oreo ice cream and Oreo cold brew. How could they go wrong? But guess what the secret ingredient is? You guessed it, conflict palm oil. That creamy center everyone loves. It's actually full of deforestation and human rights abuses, so that's fantastic. Because the fact is, Mondelēz supply chains are filled with every flavor of horror. Rampant deforestation, species endangerment, rights violations, and more. And that's why we need your help. We need you to help us get Mondelēz to stop sourcing from unscrupulous producers like Royal Golden Eagle, who's a notorious paper and palm oil company at the center of plunder and destruction in Indonesia's rapidly dwindling rainforests. As always, head over to the link down in the notes to go to our action page, which will show you where the closest Oreo cafe is to you, not for a visit, but to leave them a review. Tell them what you really think of their cafes and their palm oil addiction. And speaking of, have you heard about the campaign we did against Disney? It was a while ago, but it was a great one. It had ups, downs, drama, actions, Minnie Mouse getting arrested. So we're talking with Laurel about the campaign, the action, and how it all wound up. Can you tell us who you are and what do you do at RAN?
I'm Laurel Sutherland, and I am RAN's Senior Communications Strategist.
For folks who may have missed it, we talked with Laurel a while back about the Loser ecosystem, which is one of the last wild places on Earth. If you want to check out the interview, you can follow the link up here. Can you tell us maybe like a favorite action or a favorite protest or even a favorite campaign that you've been a part of with RAN? Whether that's like maybe up close and personal, you're getting arrested or something, I don't know. Or maybe from a distance as like a communications manager. Like tell us a good story.
Sure. There's so many I can think of. What's coming to mind first was early in my years at RAN, we took on the publishing industry, and one of the lead targets that emerged from that was Disney. We had a situation where we had done lab tests on children's books, and we had proved that Disney was literally printing the Jungle Book on ground up jungle on paper made from mixed tropical hardwood. And we had given them the option to negotiate with us and do the right thing. And so by the time we got to the point of staging direct action, they had shut the door, refused to talk with us. And we just were in a clear sort of high ground, morally in a place where they were just so starkly in the wrong. And so we trained a group of activists, and we went down to Disney's global headquarters in Burbank, and we staged an early morning action right as executives and employees would be arriving into the office for the day, where we had climbers deploy over the big Disney font kind of banner that or arch that goes over the gate into their main parking lot. And then before they had a chance to open the gate, we had Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, people in costumes, locked down to the gate. gate so that it couldn't be opened. Chains and I think bicycle locks that were connecting them to the metal gate so that it couldn't be opened. It was visually, it was stunning. The banner said something like, Disney destroying Indonesia's rainforest. But, as a communications person, we had done a bunch of legwork beforehand, kind of tipping off journalists that something was going to be, good. There was going to be good images. And if they, just showed up at a particular time and place, we would lead them to something that would be worth their while. And so sure enough, the press showed up, the van started to arrive. But, the moment that I remember just so particular was as soon as a helicopter arrived and looked up and realized that's not a cop helicopter, that's a news helicopter. I think I literally started just jumping up and down. It was just like, oh, we are winning this campaign. And, the kind of crux moment, it was just, the kind of thing that you can set the stage for, but you just can't possibly, a script was once they, the cops were making arrests and they had gotten people, the climbers down and people detached. Amazingly, the arresting officers did not take off Minnie Mouse's mask before they did the, put her in handcuffs and put her into the cop car. And so the image that went out on mainstream, television, was Minnie Mouse being arrested, and put into the cop car. And it was just, that image went viral. And after refusing to even talk with us, literally 1 week later, we had executives from Disney, at our table in our conference room in our office in San Francisco saying, okay, stop. Like, what do you want? What do you want to talk about? Just stop it. And I remember our art director Tobin at the time was almost kind of disappointed because we were just getting started. I mean, he had made so many wonderful, like excellent brand jams and the Disney characters, and it's just this endless tool chest to draw from if you want to target them. And so we did, but the one high profile action, and they just said stop it. And that led to what I think still stands as the longest corporate negotiation process in Rand's history. It was something like 18 months. But, our team really made the decision that time was worth it because we were getting places. And, Disney's so big and global, and they don't just have, the theme parks. They have a whole entertainment empire, and they have television, stations, and they have, of course, the theme parks. They have cruise ships. They have printing businesses. They have, and so we got our policy that we won from them to cover not just their entire, global empire, but also to cover any of their licensees, which is huge. So that's the packaging on a Minnie Mouse doll. It's the, it's the menu on a cruise ship. It's the, anything connected with anything moving through Disney had to go through this no deforestation policy. And so by the time it was said and done, I think it had to be translated into 54 languages, and they had to hire a whole new arm of staff to implement it. And by our calculations, it influenced the production of something, hundreds of factories in China that had to be covered by this policy. And so, it was a huge in scope, and it really fit with Rand's kind of policy of picking a sector and going after the biggest, hardest, most difficult to move, kind of corporate actor in that sector. And once you take them down, it's so much easier to turn to the other, publishers in this case, and go boo, and they go, okay, if they can take down Disney, then we're not gonna put up a fight. And so, that campaign just had a lot of classic ingredients to it that made it very satisfying.
So let's pull up that picture one more time, because whenever I talk about pressure campaigning, I always talk about this picture and this campaign, because it's such a perfect example of like hitting the 4 different marks you really want when doing you have a protest, you have a direct communication to Disney, you have a direct action with the Minnie and Mickey locked down, and you have an incredible photo opportunity. Like, it just knocks it out of the park on all 4 points. It's just like a textbook example of how to do an action and to do it successfully, and how you really can adjust your tactics, from negotiation and be like, well, they're not listening to us. Let's do something a little more heavy-handed and really get results quick. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't always work like that, but when it does, it's really hitting the sweet spot.
You talked about going to the other publishers afterwards and really like using that as an illustration, like, we can come after you next. Did the other publishing houses move quickly? Did they do similar deforestation policies?
Yeah, by the end of that campaign, we had secured commitments from all 10, or maybe it was 11, of the top publishers in the United States. So it was a real instance of actually, moving the entire sector away from, sourcing paper from, in this case, mixed tropical hardwoods, which means ground up rainforest.
Great example. Great story. Thanks for sharing it. Thanks, Laurel.
Yeah.
I don't know how to finish it, so I'm just going to end it there. Big thanks to Laurel for sharing a bit of RAN history and how big actions can have big results. As always, if you'd like to get more involved in taking action or getting more information, head on over to our webpage at ran.org, where you can join us in using people power to challenge business as usual. And why would you want to do that? Because we win.